Okay, so we're up and running. If you are watching a recording, do fast forward 3 minutes. Okay. Wait, why do I see a no sound? This is sort of interesting. Oh, okay. I had a little microphone off thing. I'm like, wait, I never saw that before. Shall I say never noticed before? It's probably been there this entire time. What the heck? Oh, UFO Wednesday. We're just about there. So 2 minutes counting down. I think I got everything. Ooh, I don't have everything. I didn't turn on my torch. I did hear you. Give me a second. Okay, so Andy says Twitch is up, and he also is YouTube up. Okay. Yeah, it's not coming up on my personal page either. Which one is this? Okay, so YouTube is up. I can't tell which one is the Facebook up. Huh. So weird. All right, so Facebook stream is live. Go back. Go back. I don't know what's going on there. Oh, here we go. Nope, that's YouTube, that's Twitch. Okay, we're gonna start here in just 1 more minute. Hopefully, I'm gonna turn something off, and I hope it's not the wrong one. Let's see. Okay, so please tell me that Facebook is still up and running. Okay, let's give it 1 more minute, make sure that's still up and running. Okay, so like, here's our timeline. Okay, let's take a look. All right, so I'm turning on what I think should be my personal page. Let me know if that comes up. Oh, okay, so we're up. Yay! All right, let's get started, I think. Oh, jeez. All right. So I'm gonna stop playing with the little buttons. Okay, no, we're playing with the buttons. Hi everyone, it is Wednesday. It's Q Talk Live. I'm streaming on officially 4 channels today, verified on YouTube, Twitch TV, and Twitch.tv, and QFOM Gray, and Q Talk on Facebook. So, woohoo! It's all working. Now, if only I can get that laptop up and running. So, yep, let me update you the saga of the laptop. Still, migration is pretty much 95% done, and then the machine failed today. Yep, the brand new machine that arrived about 10 days ago failed. It has a hardware issue. Well, we'll see whether or not it gets fixed. When we're done here, I will be talking to Dell and making sure that gets fixed. I know, it just keeps going, right? I was just talking to somebody today who has decided that she's doing nothing with technology until June 24th. That would be the end of Mercury being in retrograde. So that's a FYI to everybody out there who's thinking about doing techie something. You might want to wait another few days, 15 days it is, okay. Anyway, so today what are we doing? It's Wednesday. I know I don't look like Melody McDuffie, but she will be here, I don't know, sometime soon once she gets her technology up and running. In the meantime, we're going to do a UFO Wednesday. So what was submitted was a chain from Janet, and there are reasons why things happen or things can't happen and how they can happen. So what she was doing here was she had this chain and she has all these little charms, and she wanted to solder jump rings, or she wanted to attach the charms on, but then she wanted to solder the jump rings. But then what had happened was, let's see, move this over. What had happened was when she went to solder it, things like this happened. It melted, or it didn't solder. And it's sort of interesting as I'm looking through some of these pieces. See, where was the other one that I saw? Oh yeah, like this one, you could see where she was able to solder one jump ring. But can you see that tiny little bit? Let me see if we can zoom in a little bit more for you. See that tiny little bubble there? It almost melted. So how do we do this without melting the stuff? And I wanted to talk about that for a second. You know, a lot of times when we're working on projects, it's either you don't have the skill to do it, or you don't have the technology to do it, or the equipment to do it, right? And you need to determine which one it is. In this instance, I know she knows how to solder, but her issue is really not her skill. It's more her equipment. So what she was using is she was using your standard butane torch, something like this or something like this. And the thing is with these torches is the heads are so large, the torch flame is so large that what's going to happen? It's going to melt by the time anything works. And also, it's not quite hot enough. So it takes a lot of time to get there. And when it gets there, it melts so quickly that it's really, really hard to do. Additionally, she also had this little cabochon, the stone set in there. Oh, I just noticed something on here. Anyway, and how are you going to get the jump ring to solder without ruining this nice piece of Larimar? Well, it's in the equipment. So that's how we're going to get around it. And again, you know, sometimes you just need to assess it to figure out where your issues are, or where your hang up is. And, you know, don't be completely self-defeated, because it's just, like I said, sometimes it's just equipment. So how am I going to get around that? I am today going to use the Gentech, okay? So this is equivalent to the Smith Little, except it's a lot less expensive. And because I have natural gas here at the house, I had a natural gas line run to my workbench. So the pipe is like right next to me. It's only like 2 feet away. And I have it connected to that natural gas, and also an oxygen concentrator, which is actually in the other room. However, if you don't have this option, the reason why I have this option is because I don't like to use tanks, because you know what, I don't know, I have this fear of like using this tank and all of a sudden in the middle of a project needing to refill it. And refilling these tanks is not so quick. It's not like you can just run out and get it done. It takes time. So that's the scoop, right? So I was like, oh, if I have the pipe put in, I have a continuous supply of gas. And for me, because of where we live and because of the HVAC person that we know, we had it installed for about $150. It didn't have to go very far to get to the studio, but even when we were at the other house and he actually went on 2 sides of the house to get to the studio, it was still only about $150, which was for me a lot less than having to buy regulators and tanks and blah blah blah, because at this point tanks and regulators are going to run you about $350 or $400. And by the way, Andy also mentioned that price also included the hookup to the grill, because our grill is actually right over there above us, and he ran the line, extended it over to the grill. So Andy has this great little barbecue going on up there. Anyway, so that said, if you don't have these options, what are your options to get into one of these torches? Because the torch we have on our website is, I think, $139, something like that, right? The thing is, the other option, okay, is A, you need an oxygen tank or an oxygen concentrator, and B, you need some sort of alternate gas. Propane or acetylene is usually the choice. And for a lot of you, I'm going to just go to the easiest one that you can do, is you can go to these propane cells. Hold on. And you can get these at Home Depot. But the key here is you need to have an adapter. The torch that we sell on the urbanbeater.com site, by the way, the link is up in the description and in the comments. Andy posted them. The key here is that this adapter goes right on here. You can also buy oxygen tanks from Home Depot or Lowe's, and the adapter comes with both oxygen and propane. So you can just hook them right in there. You don't need regulators. The reason why you don't need a regulator is because there's not enough pressure in these small tanks to worry about regulating your pressure. So it's a really, really safe way to go. And additionally, most insurance policies are not going to have insurance policy will not have an issue with having these kinds of tanks in the house. When you go to the larger tanks, you might want to talk to your homeowners or renters insurance, or even if you're renting, talk to the apartment building whether or not they even allow it, because it might be a safety thing. Anyway, so that's how we're going to get this done today. So let's talk about this some more, okay? So here, what we're going to do, and she was so kind as to take a picture of how she wanted this done and what's going on. So let's zoom in. And I wanted to show you what had happened here. First of all, thank you for sending some extra chain. I don't have to struggle with that. And you can see in here that this has been, see, these links are melted together. So I'm just going to cut that off, okay? So, oops, let's move this off a bit. So I'm just going to cut off and save that chain because it's still salvageable. And frankly, if she didn't send me the extra chain, what I would have to do is I would have to sit here and try to unsolder these pieces. But some of the pieces look like they're even fused together. So maybe not so much. Nonetheless, we're going to go ahead and cut this next one off of this so that we can use it too. Okay, nope, not cutting that off. That is stuck. That was also soldered together. So we'll go ahead and trim that off. And there we have it. Okay, and I want to look at this chain and see what part of it I really want to use, if any at all. Because hey, if you've got a nice fresh piece, why not use that? But we'll see what we can get around here. And this one, same thing. So we're going to just cut this off here. Okay, let's open and close some jump rings. Yay, she provided some extra jump rings. So that one's already on there. I find it sort of interesting. These weren't connected, but they are connected now. Put this on. Actually, I'm gonna connect these two first, but this one is really mangled also. Oh, and that one is soldered on too. So we're gonna cut that one off also. Like so. And because these chains are connected to are soldered, just double checking. Sometimes chains aren't soldered. The more expensive chains are soldered. Just remember that. I'm going to go ahead and cut one of these links open so that I can connect them, and I'll solder those back together. Just like that. Trim that just a little tiny bit. There's a tiny little bit of a burr on here. because of the cut, even though I have an ultra flush cutter. I'm going to pull out my needle needle file, and I'm going to file that just a little tiny bit. Mostly because I can. Because I want this to be a really, really nice clean job. Oops. Did I like just totally lose you? I did. Whoa. I'll connect it. So I'm going to connect those two back together. And I'm going to solder that really quickly here before I do anything else, because you know what? I'm going to lose track. I'm totally going to lose track of where it is. Okay. Pull out some tweezers here. Okay. We'll use a teeny weeny little bit of solder paste, silver solder paste, and I'm going to use easy because, you know, we're not really doing anything that requires multiple joints. All the joints are separated, so the only time I'm going to use the different levels is if the joints are sort of stacked onto each other. Okay, I'm having a hard time holding this, so I'm going to adjust. There we go. My opening is at the top. So just going to put a little bit of solder right on there. If you're having a hard time putting the solder onto such small places, heat it up just a little bit. Just get it warm and it will grab your solder. Okay, there we are. Okay. So here's my torch. We're going to add a little bit of oxygen. Too much oxygen. Down. It always takes me a minute to get these things going. And I did it again. There we go. Adding oxygen very, very slowly. You can see the tiniest little torch head. I know, it's just such minor changes. And so here, I dropped the chain. Wow. Hold on. I dropped the chain, which means the solder is probably funky. Yes, you should be seeing a new torch in your future because this torch is really nice. And the other thing too is I believe you already have an oxygen concentrator as a Janet said she sees a new torch in her future, and she's a glass worker, so she probably already has an oxygen concentrator, which is great. Okay, so there's my, can you see that? You can see the teeny weeny little bit of solder on there. And notice I'm taking this really nice and slow and approaching it, and then it's done. Yep, double checking here. I probably could have held this with my hands, but let's not do that. We are live and we don't need to make a jackass of ourselves. Tiniest little quench because it didn't get very hot. And there it is. Okay. Yep, soldered together. Very nice. Let's add this on. Okay, so the question for Janet out there is, are you counting these links in between? I don't think you are. Right? So about an inch. And we'll add that on. I'm going to go back one more. Okay. Okay, so there's one. Again, these torches are, I just love these torches. You know, I can actually solder a box link with this torch. It's so hot that I'm starting out a little bit further and then bringing it in. Okay, did not solder. A little bit more. Okay. A little bit more solder on there. Oh, there it goes. I want to smooth it out, so I'm adding a little heat on both sides. Gets that to smooth out really nicely and fill in the joint. There we are. I did measure this before I got started, just to make sure that I'm keeping it to the size that she had it. So let's make sure that I did that right and see how much more chain I need to add to that. So it was 6.5 is where it was. Yep, I need a little more chain. So instead of cutting it off, I'm just going to attach it and then I'll cut it at the end. Okay, so there is again a slight burr. So I will file that just a little bit, just to make it extra nice. Okay. Oops. And I love these. Oh. Did I like just close that without attaching it? Yeah, I did. Whoops. Okay. The bent nose are really nice for chain work like this. I should probably have a second pair, huh? Huh. I wonder where I can get some. Okay. There you are. This time I'm going to play it a little bit smarter, and I'm going to heat this up before I put the solder on. Just because it's a little bit easier. I want the chain to come together really nicely. Teeny weeny bit of heat. Because that torch is pretty hot. I think we're about 3,500, 4,000 degrees. Let's see. Oops. Okay, so that fell over. You know what? Because this heat's going to happen so fast, I'm going to go ahead and use my pliers. I usually never recommend this, but it's holding so nicely, and this is going to happen so quickly, I sort of don't care. Just like so. Not enough solder. Okay. So despite the weather of this past week, it's becoming very nice here. There we go. Okay. Next one. So I'm assuming this was a travel bracelet, right? Clearly you went somewhere in the United States. You went to Canada. Maybe that's from Hawaii. Isn't that usually the Dominican Republic where you get Larimar? Or was it just because it's blue and you liked it? I don't know. What's the story, Janet? Ah, good guess, huh? Not that that was a hard guess. Okay. Oops. We'll add it right on there. Just like so. You see how easy this is when you have the right equipment? It's just, and this is not skill. I promise you this is not skill. Although, okay, maybe it's a little bit of skill because it does take a tiny little bit of practice to get used to how hot this is. Because if you've been using butane, this is, if you've been using butane, this is a little bit to get used to because it's so hot. It happens so fast that you don't have to worry about it so much, right? And notice I'm not heating anything else but that spot. Yes. And again, I'm coming in from both sides just to get it nice and even. And you can see that like there's so little oxidation because it's happening so fast. I'm just going to double check, make sure that's on. Ooh, it's not. It flowed, but it did not connect. It's wet now, so we'll just dry it out. Just like that. Voila. Done deal. Probably can't even hear the quench. See? It's nicely on there. Okay. What else we got? I know, you want to see the stone. What about the stone? Yep, you can get the stone done too. About there. And then I'll make a jump ring for it because it looks like there's no catch here. So I'll make a jump ring for the catch. Where are we? Are we there? Oh, there. Okay, this one. So I guess the next question is, if there's an extra jump ring here, Miss Janet, do you want me to swap out the one of your other jump rings while I'm at it, or leave it? Okay. Okay, moment of truth here. And I drop it in. Okay, I don't think you so Janet says it's her daughter's bracelet, but she picked out the small thick chain. Oh. Okay. So no on the jump rings. It was just sort of me being anal retentive. teeny weeny bit of solder right on top. I try to always keep my jump rings openings when I'm soldering at 12 o'clock. So what's nice about this is nothing else is going to get hot except for that jump ring. Until I drop it. I'm pretty sure that's done. And just to be safe, I'm not going to quench it. Oh, let's see. Did I do it? Nope, not quite. See, look, I can grab it already. It's because it doesn't get hot. Okay, I'm going to put on a little bit more solder. Almost done. There it is. Okay, again, let's see. Yeah, see, stone's not very hot. We're good. Set that aside. And let's see, let's make a little jump ring. So I just found a little bit of wire, just a little scrap. Oops. And we're just gonna make a little round jump ring for the other end. Again, just a piece of scrap. Oops. Oh, just enough. Look at that. Ta-da! Okay, we'll trim that up. Make it nice. Oops, I guess I need to trim this too. Okay, so this was measured, the chain itself was 6.5. So we'll trim it right at 6.5. Wait, what am I missing? Am I missing one? Ooh. Huh. Did I not go far enough? I didn't go far enough. I'm gonna move this guy down a little bit further. Sorry about that. Yeah, because you know, you want this thing to be balanced. There we have it. And I'm going to make this a little bit on the oval side just because the chain is mostly oval. Like so. Come on. And I want this edge to be really nice. I'm going to put it right in here and give it a squeeze. Look at that. Okay. Again, a little tiny bit of heat. And I'm going to move the United States a little bit over here. Beautiful. So what's going to happen after this is, you know, I'm going to clean the stuff by hand because I don't really want to put this stone into the pickle because I don't know what the pickle is going to do to it. So actually what I might do is just stick this part into the pickle and leave the stone hanging out of it because I just don't want to risk something happening to the stone. And then I'll just hand polish the rest of it to bring it all back up. Okay, and I'll show you that here in a second. Come on. We'll use a fresh jump ring. I know, my nails are not my tools, but I use my nails all the time. So let's put this sort of more in between. Yes, I realize that Janet can finish this up, but what fun is that? Right? You know, I have a tendency never to open up my jump rings quite enough. So the thing is, I'm struggling a little bit because these jump rings are a little bit thick for the chain, but frankly, it's a better way to go. I prefer to have jump rings that are a little bit, oh hey, there's a front and a back side. Maybe it was a good thing that this didn't happen correctly, because now that I'm noticing that, I want it turned around. Anyway, it's better that you have a thicker jump ring than a thinner jump ring. It's more secure, right? Oh, just go in. You know, I did have a protein shake for breakfast. Actually still sitting here. But I did have some protein. Don't know why we're struggling here. All right. Chain, jump ring, go in. Maybe I'll just move it down like that. It doesn't want to go in. What the heck? There it is. Oh, phew. I who like to work with small things. Okay. Adjust that just a teeny weeny little bit too. There we go. And again, notice how I'm moving it around, that I'm not just attacking it, because I don't want the solder to fall off. Did you flow where I wanted you to flow? Despite how small this is, yes, solder may not flow where you want it to flow. It's the same thing as with the big torch. I'm still going to put a little bit more solder on here. I just don't think it filled in. Come on. Solder doesn't want to stick, and of course too much of it wants to stick now. Okay. Again, notice how I'm touching it even though I didn't quench it. There we go. Oh, that makes me much happier. All right. Okay, so now I'm going to stick this into the pickle with just the parts and pieces that are in question, except for the Larimar piece, because I don't know what pickle does to Larimar. You know, you can put a lot of things in pickle, but what you don't want to put in it for sure are porous stones like malachite or turquoise, and definitely not pearls. It was pretty hilarious to me. I was watching a demo, and this guy was like, "Oh, but I was trained by Revere," and somebody goes, he went to put a pearl in a pickle, and someone said, hey, I thought you couldn't put a pearl in a pickle. He goes, oh yeah, you can. It's just for a flash anyway. Let me say, when he passed that piece around, there was no luster left on that pearl. So if you don't want luster on your pearls, yeah, throw it in some pickle. Let me see, you know, that's how that works. Let's see. Okay. Coming out of the pickle. How are we doing? A little bit more time would be nice. Again, I have it actually hanging out of my pickle pot, like draped over, so that the layer mark is sitting out, of course. Just a little bit more time there. Yeah, pickle is pretty hot. Should happen fairly quickly. Okay, so now what happens with the pickle is you definitely lose all of your detail, right? So we need to put it back in. Janet, you okay with if I oxidize these pieces to give it a little bit more pop? We'll go ahead and clean it up first. Do we have an answer, honey? Okay. Okay. Maybe Janet stepped away. Well, let's put it this way. I'm going to go ahead and oxidize it. She doesn't like it, I can take it off. It's easy enough to take off, right? Okay, so we're going to use my favorite Black Max because it is an instant oxidizer. As you can see, we'll go ahead and zoom in. And I'm just going to brush it on. Hold on. I'll put it on here. And believe it or not, this process, you could probably get away, like if these charms were plated, you could get away with it, totally. Because it's happening so quickly, it should not affect anything else. It should just affect the part that you are, the part that you're soldering, okay? Thanks, Larry. Yes, the solder gods are with me. But you know what? Honestly, as much as the solder gods were with me today, the reality is this torch allows you to do a much easier solder job. And frankly, could I have done this with a larger torch? Yeah, but I wouldn't have been able to do it with that for sure. I would not have been able to do it with the stone piece. That's absolutely for sure. Okay, so we'll go ahead and looks like the butterfly needs a little help too. So we'll go ahead and oxidize the butterfly. I'm debating on this, on the sand dollar though, if it needs anything. I think I'm gonna leave the sand dollar alone. Okay, so where I'm going with it now is I keep rinsing it because you need to rinse all the oxide or the patina off. And then I'm gonna get a fresh piece here because I don't want it to bleed over or contaminate. And let's see, which brush is going to help me today? I'm thinking, ooh, yeah. Love my scratch brushes these days. Look at that. Seal wool would work here too. But this is doing a really nice job for me. How fun is that? Yeah. Woohoo! I think I need to address this a little bit harder, so we're going to go with the brass one. So what's also nice about not using the steel wool, it's not getting inside of my fingertips, right? Had I really thought about this, should have, sorry, didn't think about it until just now, I probably would have tumbled this to get the chain up really nice before I attached the Larimar. That way I can get everything nice, because you couldn't pickle the Larimar anyway, and you were going to have to hand polish this regardless. So that would have been the quick and easy way of doing that. And since you are watching Janet, I think this was cut off of something else. You might want to file that down. So while you're at it, this guy needs a little polishing too, so I'm gonna help him out a little bit. Just clean him up. Give him a little bit of a hello sweetie kind of touch there. Just a little love. Okay. This guy. There we go. I know I'm taking a lot of care to do this. Most of you really would have just thrown this in the tumbler and called it good. But what the heck. Anyway, so that's it. That's the advantage of having the right torch and the right equipment. Just remember, don't get frustrated. Don't think that it's your skills, because sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's just simply that you don't have the right tools to do something. And as much as we're all tool whores, you know, there is a line to all of that, by the way. And anyway, so what's coming up this week? Friday, we have a Zoom along. It's going to be hosted by Sully Girardi, as I will be in Mississippi. So if you guys are anywhere near Long Beach, Mississippi, swing in, say hi, register for a class. It is sasbydesign.net, S-A-S bydesign.net. And I will be at Beat Everything coming up in about 2.5 weeks in White Plains. And that's Beat Everything in White Plains. You can register there for some classes also. Those are all in-person classes. Also coming up virtually, we have the Andromeda ring, I think. Oh, it's at the end of the month. It's going to be a Zoom. There's only a few kits left, so if you're still interested, do reach out. And by the way, I just sent an email to everyone who's already registered for this class. I think I messed up. So do read the email, and do get back to me and let me know whether or not you got all the parts and pieces that you needed. So just to double check that, okay? But that is it for me today. As I'm just sitting here polishing because I can. It's, you know, finishing for me is really relaxing, and I can do this all day long. It just makes me really happy, you know, to just sit here and polish and play and make sure that everything looks really great. This jump ring. Yeah, and I might just take this jump ring off because I feel like it's a little too big and it's not sitting correctly because it's a little too big. So yeah, I think I'm gonna go find a slightly smaller jump ring for this guy and do another one, but that's it for now. Anyway, you're welcome, Miss Janet. So next week on Monday, if all things are good and the tech gods are with me, I will be doing a studio tour of SAS by Design down there in Mississippi. I don't know how close we are to the beach, but maybe you might see the beach too while I'm down there. And then I'll be back next Wednesday for another UFO. Pretty excited to do Gail's project that was sent up here. And if you have a project you'd like me to work on, or, you know, whatever, do reach out to me and get it here so I can get it on the roster. But so next week will be Gail's, and the following week will be Jamie's, I believe, is what we're gonna do. Okay, so thanks everyone for hanging out and watching and sharing and liking and all that good stuff. Don't forget to renew your Twitch on your Amazon Prime. You do have to do that monthly, and we really appreciate it that you do that. But that's the project. Thanks for hanging out. We'll see you